Well, thank you everyone for joining. My name is Micah. I'm the program coordinator at Iron USA. So excited to be here and for our final show. It's very exciting. It's been quite a whirlwind over the past 3 weeks for this workshop. So before we start with our final show programming, I do want to introduce Chris McElwee, YES Program Officer at the U.S. Department of State, for some welcoming remarks. So Chris, I'll hand it to you.
Thanks very much, Micah, and welcome to everyone. I'm, as Micah said, my name is Chris, and I am a program officer at the Department of State working on the YES program and trying to learn as much as I can about what alumni have been doing and are up to. So I'm very much looking forward to this. You have put so much work into this workshop, and I'm very excited to see the fruits of your labors. There are a number of other people from the State Department who are at this webinar as well and are watching and wishing you all very well. So thanks very much for the invitation and best wishes to all of the presenters.
Oh, thank you, Chris. And thank you everyone from the State Department for joining today. It's such a pleasure having you here. And we're really excited to share the work of the participants with you all. So I think without further ado, I mean, we'll hand it off to you, Gail, to get us started.
Great, thank you. And I want to repeat all those warm wishes and welcomes. My name is Gail Thomas, and I'm one of 2 instructors that had the privilege of working with this very talented, warm, and amazing group of individuals. Julia Whitehouse was also working with it. You know, you'll meet her in a few minutes. So basically, and thank you for the opportunity to iEarn and State Department, and thank you to the storytellers for all your hard work. We started about 3 weeks ago with 18 storytellers, and we met twice a week. We divided into 2 groups of 9, and we met twice a week. We had our Monday, Wednesday group, and we had our Tuesday, Thursday group. My group met from 9 to what was it? No, 8 to, I'm not a morning person. My group met from 8 to 10, and Julia's group ranged from 7 a.m. till 9, and we were from all over the world. We got together. We started, the first class was just an overview of what storytelling is, the basics of storytelling. We told a couple stories, and then we gradually just built on that week by week. And so we actually had 5 classes. This is our final show. Because of time, etc., we weren't able to give every single storyteller the opportunity to present today. But what we're going to do is we're going to have 8 storytellers tell their full stories. I'll introduce the first 4, then Julia, and then we're going to have the remaining storytellers give the first line of their story. So you'll get a little teaser of what their story was all about. It's been an amazing experience. Then we're going to do a Q&A. So to our audience members, if there's something along the line that you think, oh, I want to ask a question about that, just jot it down, and you'll get a chance to do that later. I think that's all my notes. Oh yeah, the storytellers also had the opportunity to meet twice at these little cafes. They had a WhatsApp so they could interact with each other, because not only did we want to give them the opportunity to learn the skills of storytelling, the structure and what matters. We talked about all the elements of what makes a good story, but we also wanted them to have an opportunity to make friends and to meet with each other. And it's just really been an amazing experience to see the growth and the connection and the bravery. So I guess I need to tell the storytellers how inspired I am by all of you. And you know, I just hope you keep seeing stories in your life and telling stories, because it is really the way that we grow our understanding and our empathy for one another. Not only is it good in the business world, but it's also good just as a human being to human being. And now, without further ado, we'll give the audience a chance to experience this magic that we've been seeing. And so I have the pleasure of kicking it off. The first storyteller will be one of my students that I had in my Monday, Wednesday group. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring to the virtual stage from Indonesia. He was in the group, his study year abroad with the YES program was 2019 to 2020. So let's give a big round of applause for Marty.
Hello everyone, and this is my story. It was the first day of school, summer 2019. I am walking down the hallway to my first show choir rehearsal in Bettendorf, Iowa. Now, I know little things about show choir. It's in High School Musical, right? But I've never learned to dance in my entire life. So this is gonna be a new thing for me. And what I know about exchange here, it's all about trying new things. So when I got offered the opportunity, I just gladly auditioned for it and I got in. I entered the room and the teacher noticed me came in and she gave the cue for every student in the room to be quiet. And so she presented the stage for me. I stood up and began to introduce myself. Hey everyone, my name is Marty. I came from Indonesia. I'm a new exchange student here at Bettendorf High School, and I'm glad to join you guys in the team. I felt so nervous when I said those lines, but come to my surprise, everyone started to cheer for me. And there were even some people that came directly to me and gave the warmest hugs ever. I became a hugger ever since. So I just knew that, wow, I found my family here in a place far away from home. I can feel a sense of belonging, finally. And so began my show choir journey. But no one clearly told me that show choir is not as easy as it looks like. Well, it looks really fun, but to practice, very, very tiring. I also have schools. I have to attend schools, and at times I kept on thinking, what about my final exam tomorrow? And oh, I got this design project that's due tomorrow noon. I cannot concentrate on the practice at all. And come choreography camp, where we have to learn the dance for the performance, yep, I just cannot do the dance that the choreographer told us to do. Like, you raise your hands and then you did what with your body? I felt so frustrated because I cannot nail that very move. And I felt like I think I'm only dragging my team backwards. And so that self doubt was raised inside of me. And I felt like quitting. I felt like maybe I had to stop. Maybe this practice is not just for me. But at that very moment, I also remembered why I did show choir in the first place. Looking back at my childhood, the 10-year-old me really, really loved watching Glee. It's an American TV series about a group of high school students competing in a show choir club. And I really loved seeing them dance and sing in each episode. My little legs and arms would follow the beats, and I had so much fun that I said, I'm gonna do that one day. And so here comes the day. I have been given the opportunity. So me, still catching my breath, decided to get up and say, all right, I'm just gonna try this and I'm gonna do my best until the end. Came my very first competition day. It was very crowded. We were in this other high school and we were all dressed up. I wore my black vest and my white shirt with a tiny rainbow handkerchief that I think looks really cute. We were all lined up behind the curtains, ready to enter the stage for the very first time. I said to myself, this is it, Made. You're gonna do your best, and you will. And so I walk on the stage, those bright blinding lights up ahead of me. I could not see anyone in the crowds, but I could tell there were hundreds of them, all cheering for us in excitement. And so I absorbed their energy and just be confident. I kept smiling, and then the band behind us, the drums, start to kick in the beat. One, two, 1, 2, 3, go and bam! We stepped in a white foot and we sang our first note. I sang it very confidently and then goes on to the second move. Whoa, I nailed that move that I've been struggling over and over again. I felt so proud of myself. And one thing that I really remember about Shockwire was that our whole performance is actually telling a Dean story. And our performance theme was about working through our fears. Exactly what I was doing at that very moment. I was working through my fears. And finally, I got to experience this one in a lifetime moment. on stage, living the entire stage and letting myself out in a world of musical performance. So it was a 15-minute performance, 5 songs. I almost fainted on stage because that was the first time I had to dance 15 minutes straight. But I'm glad I did it. And that night, all of us, the band team, the singers and dancers, the stage crew, we jumped and screamed in happiness as our high school name was announced to get the trophy home that night. Never did I thought joining show choir team in America would taught me about more than just singing and dancing. It is actually an experience of meeting a new family and also breaking out of my comfort zone. I did not realize that every time I could not nail this move, every time I felt frustrated and I felt like quitting, it was all a part of breaking out of my comfort zone. I wouldn't have had this once in a lifetime experience if I had not gotten out there, trusting myself, and be and do what I have been living for. I've been dreaming for. Thank you so much.
Yay! Thank you, Marty. That was beautiful. I wish I could see you sing and dance now, but I have a sense that it would be pretty amazing. Fantastic. So much fun. All right, so let's just keep moving along. Our next storyteller comes to us from Bangladesh, and she joined the YES program from also 2019 to 2020. So welcome to the virtual stage, Martia. Martia. Yay!
There's a saying, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And this particularly bothered me. Why men? Why only men? Growing up, I've seen that women are the only one cooking for their family as if it is only their job. It is only the woman's job to cook. My relatives used to tell me how I should learn to cook and help my mother, but never once did they say the same thing to my brother. I was supposed to be good at my studies. I was also supposed to be good at household chores and cooking, but it was enough for my brother to be good at his studies. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. So being the rebellious kid I was, I decided I'll never cook. I'll not enter the kitchen. And I didn't. Honestly, I didn't even know how to turn on the stove back home. And instead, I decided I'll be a very successful, independent, career-oriented woman. Maybe an engineer, maybe. So I was very studious. I spent my time always studying. I didn't have a lot of hobbies. I would say I had a very one-track mind. Fast forward, I'm in the United States. I met Brian, my host dad. He was this very tall, jolly man in his late 60s. He was about a foot taller than me, and we hit it off. We spent a lot of time together. I remember how I struggled to choose subjects during my American high school. Coming from a Bangladeshi school, which has a very focused and competitive education system, and I was from a very small school with no sport teams, with no clubs. I wanted to take all the science classes, all the AP classes. But Brian told me with his deep, calm voice, the world has enough specialists, but what the world needs are multi-potentialites who should know a bit of everything, be it literature, music, politics, history, or even cooking. And that took a second to process. You're telling me I can explore and, find my passion? Back home, parents tell their children about how we should focus on either being a doctor or an engineer, how we should focus on our studies. He told me to explore myself, to find my passion. And so I did. I joined guitar class. I joined in various clubs and sport teams, and I never did that before. I challenged myself. And then he encouraged me to cook. And wait a minute, cooking? Okay, I'll try. I remember how I struggled to use the knife. I was scared of it. I'm scared of knives. And I was trying to chop it and I didn't know how. And he showed me how to do it. And still I'm very bad at chopping. I'm not good with my knife. And I told him why I didn't like cooking, why I thought I felt like it was a bit inferior to cook because back home how they portray cooking. And He told me, Martia, cooking is a life skill that everyone should have. It is a necessity for your own independence. It is for yourself. And wow, I know, like, you're telling me that I'll be cooking because it is for me, it is for myself, it is for to be truly independent. It is because it is a necessity and not because it is a woman's job. That is a new perspective for me. And I give cooking a try. At first, I wanted to be a good exchange student, impress people, and represent my culture. But then I grew interested in it. I was like, I challenged myself to cook difficult dishes, and sometimes I failed terribly. Burned food, a messy kitchen, burned pots, but sometimes I succeeded and exceeded my expectations. I cooked food that tasted like home and made me happy and proud about myself. I realized that cooking has become a therapy for me. If I'm sad, depressed, or homesick, I cook. If I want to show my gratitude or show how grateful I am to my host family, host community, I cook for them. It was a way for me to communicate my emotions, my feelings. And I found passion in cooking, just like I found passion in so many other things during my exchange year. I started looking up to Brian. He's a scientist, and yet he knows how to cook. He knows how to play the piano, that too so very well. He knows basic plumbing skills, carpentry skills. And back home, if we have any plumbing work to be done at home, we will just call a plumber. We don't know how to do plumbing. Okay, we don't know it. But he knows that. He knows so many other things. He's an avid reader, and we bonded through our shared interest in literature. And then I realized that at some point of our life, we meet someone. Everyone meets someone that changes our life, that introduces to new ideas, change our point of view, and help us grow, and maybe also find our purpose in life. And Brian was that person for me. He was the person who helped me find my passion, helped me be a better version of myself. And maybe I haven't yet found my purpose in life, but I am sure for a fact that my purpose in life is not limited to one thing. I'm meant for a lot more. And maybe it is not a main dream or a main goal, but at some point of my life, at some point, I really want to own a restaurant of my own. Thank you.
Yay! Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Martia. That is so inspirational. I can relate to everything you said. I used to rebel against the same sort of things, and thank you for bringing Brian's lesson to all of us, because I think that's really important to remember. To be a full human being, you want to explore everything. Thank you so much. We'll keep moving along. Our next storyteller comes to us from India. She participated in the YES program in 2018 to 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the virtual stage, Shifa.
Exactly 3 years back in India, there you will see me in my high school, 10th grade student with the most prestigious position, I suppose. I was voted by my principals and teachers to manage 1,000 students. Yes, it is. You must be thinking now, she must have figured out everything in her life. But no, I haven't. I am just the girl with no aims, following the footsteps of my parents and teachers. And believe me, I'm not that confident as I look. The still part of me is in dark, and I'm searching for it. As the last year of high school is going on, one day my English teacher interrupts our math class, and we all students are like, "Thank God you saved us." And she came for an announcement. She said, "Does anyone want to go for an exchange?" I'm like gossiping to my beside friend. "Oh, is she saying true? Is it for real? We'll go for an exchange back to in America?" My friend is like, "Unless we apply, we cannot find out, right, Shifa? So let's apply. And I said, why not? Sure. Here I am, after 1 month, standing outside the auditorium, fully wet because it's raining, shivering, nervous, and doesn't want to enter the room. But as slowly as possible, I try to open the door, and I'm very shocked to see 100+ people in the room. I walk and grab a chair and sit in the back of the room and take long breaths, as long as I can. And one boy comes and approaches me, and he integrates my name and question. And he says, I'm from Odisha. Odisha is one of the states in India. And I'm like, you came from all those states just for a program? And he's like, there are 2 more state students available. My head is, this is tough, very competitive. And everybody wants to go to America. Okay. Sitting in the room, answering the questions and doing one-on-one group activities, whatnot for 8 hours. I'm so exhausted, but there is last announcement of the day left. And I'm like, I can give you 2 more minutes with the patients, So go ahead. And here it says, the 4 more rounds to go down till you get selected. Now my head is spinning. I want to go somewhere, shout and scream. But no. I kept myself together and said, okay, I'm selected. I can do 4 more rounds and let the battle begin. Let's see what's going to happen. So last year of my high school went like a traveling year for me because I went to different places for different rounds. And yes, every round I said to myself, keep working hard and your destination is near. You just need to go for it and do it. And here I am. Last round of the panel interview. It is important and tough ones. Important because it's the last round and you will know who will get selected, and tough because there are only 11 participants left out of 50. Can you imagine that? No. Yes, I can. I did that, so I can imagine. So I said, let's get this ready and roll on. And yes, sat with the panelists for the interview, wrote a test, and then did an essay and whatnot. And then I'm like, they say one more time, last announcement of the day. I'm like patiently waiting. And here's the announcement says, you just need to keep waiting because your selection process will come through mail. Just keep waiting patiently, I'm like, okay, sure, I can do that. But my head says something else, so I don't want to say that. So yeah, I'm waiting every day. Like I would say not one day, single day missed, every day, just looking for a hot stop. I mean to say stealing the hotspot of my dad and scrolling through that emails and saying, oh, when it's gonna come. It's April 1st, 2018 it is. And here I am. Scroll the email and then I started running through the hall and started pulling my dad up from his deep nap and said, Dad, get up. It's time. Okay, listen to me carefully. You will not be seeing me in your house next year because I'm flying to America. What? I'm selected. And he's like rubbing his eyes and saying, oh, his eyes are red, and he's like, Shifa, are you selected? Shocked and surprised. And I know, okay, yes, Dad, I'm selected. And he's like, start packing. You need to go. And I'm like, as I pack, I think a lot, I'm an overthinker. So as I was thinking, I said, okay, I started discovering myself through the YES program journey already, being part of YES program. But I want to know actual me in America, and I can't wait to see myself in after 10 months. And yes, thank you, everyone.
Yay! Thank you, Shifa. Oh my gosh. The suspense was killing me. I knew that you were actually accepted, but I was still like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for taking us on that journey of applying. That's an exciting part of it as well, right? With excitement before you even leave. And I love that we had a little hometown flavor in the background. I think that's another magical part of bringing the show to you from all over the world. So thank you again for sharing that story about learning to become your actual self, a lifelong journey. So the next storyteller that I have the pleasure of introducing is Eamonn, and he comes from Turkey. And Eamonn was part of the program, or Eamonn, I think it is, sorry. Oh, I'm so terrible. From 2019 to 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Eamonn. Thank you.
I didn't find out my state or my host family until the very last minute. So my exchange year started pretty quickly and in an extraordinary way because I wasn't ready at all. I thought I'd be in the group that'll depart a month later. So, all my preparations was just waiting. But then just 4 or 5 days before the first group's leave date, I got an email saying that I found the host family and now I was gonna go to US much earlier than I expected. So I had to buy my suitcase on the date of my flight. And everything was just so quick. I didn't really get to meet my host family because those were crazy times. We just texted a few times. And the only thing they told me was to not Google the name of my town. And I was like, that's weird, but I mean, they should know something. I don't have much time anyway, because it's all just crazy times and I'll go see what's happening, So I had my flight to the Sacramento, California, and then my host family picked me up from the airport. We drove through just, regular green, beautiful California for 2 hours, and it all started very magical. I was so excited about my exchange year because imagine, I thought I'd lose a month just waiting for my flight, but now I was there, even though, everything was just last minute, but it happened. I was actually in California now. My exchange year was starting. As we got closer to my host town and started driving up the hill, I started realizing burnt chart trees alongside of the road. And I was like, that's weird. But, California is somehow known with their natural disasters, especially fires nowadays. So I guess, just something bad happened in this area. And then we kept driving. Once we got into the buildings and the street side of the town, I realized the rubbles of buildings that surrounded us. There were, of course, normal just houses and stuff, but then there was in every street there was a few rubbles that just looked like a wasteland. I was like, oh gosh. And then at the same time, my host family started explaining to me as we drove through McDonald's that's just completely destroyed, and then there was this McDonald's sign tilted, half of it was burned. Just this image just can't leave my mind right now. They started explaining that the town had a devastating fire just 8 months ago, and now they were still trying to recover from it. It's been just 4 months since the people moved back in, and now everyone's just trying to build their houses and get their things together. I felt very unlucky. They took me a few other places that got heavily affected by the fire, and I told myself I could have been in a normal American city or a town with everything being okay, and I mean somewhere that doesn't look like it came up from a apocalyptic movie or something. And it felt really bad at first. I was exhausted by it. It took me a few weeks to come in terms with that because I said I'm missing out on so much that other people have. Everyone always say that don't compare your exchange year to others, but mine started that way, and it was really emotionally packed. However, over time, I started making friends and participating in the town's events, and then there was this one particular event that changed my whole perception. The first football game of the year. Paradise was a football town. Everyone loves it so much, and since the fire, they didn't get to watch any game or play any game. We had only one high school in the town, so it's a big thing. And when I went there, it was also my first football game, and there were 2 or 3 times more people than expected in the stadium. There were TV channels just recording the coming back home. People were so intensely feeling the happiness and joy of coming back home, but they were also remembering the things they have lost. So some of them were crying, some of them were cheering like crazy, and the environment really grabbed me in, and I told myself now I feel like I'm one of them, you know? It's just, you start sharing that and you're so close with people, you're cheering together, you're shouting together. And that night really made me want to feel like more a part of the town. And once I decided this to be my objective and I felt how good it is, I've started realizing that, you know, Paradise is not the best place to do an exchange. It's not that fancy, but it's definitely the most interesting and unique one. How many exchange students get the experience to see like such community thrive back again, right? And with like my changed perception, I started listening to people's stories even closely. And there was one particular story that really affected me, which came from my best friend Ethan. When the fire started in Paradise, he had to evacuate right from the school. So he didn't get to go back to his home and pack his stuff. And all his 18 years of life, all the memories that he collected, everything that he had was just burned. His family didn't get to his room either because it was just all panicking. And, you know, he started from literal zero. He also lost his home along with his old belongings. And understanding and relating to people's like losses through these process and what they've been through, like listening to all these stories really made me start think about all the communities around the world who's going through similar things. Living in Istanbul, we don't really get to experience such like natural disasters, luckily. My city didn't get affected by the global climate change so far, but not as heavily as other places. So I never really thought about it before. But in there, I thought like, you know, Paradise is lucky. Even though they've been through this such devastating effect, they have a proper government that's supporting them. They got people to, you know, help them. And I felt really lucky being there, you know, seeing how people helped each other and like build back the community. But then I told myself, you know, there are countries in Africa, East Asia, and like all parts of the world that go through similar disasters, but don't even get like half of the help or support that we had. And I still can't imagine how devastating that would be without the support of other people and organizations. This sparked a new interest in me in sustainability and entrepreneurship. And I decided during my exchange year that I wanted to help other communities rebuild and like bring them the necessary need, or the better, stop these disasters from happening by fighting the climate change. This changed my whole career plans because like I turned out to be an totally different person after my exchange year. And now I just, you know, draw my route as that. I'm starting my college studies in sustainability and entrepreneurship this September. And I'll be doing what I call master's degree of an exchange student because I'll be traveling to 7 different countries along the way. And I'm hoping to be a like influential entrepreneur in the future by helping the communities like Paradise who've been through such terrible disasters and, you know, hopefully making an actual change thanks to the YES program.
Wow, thank you so much, Eamonn. That was amazing. Gosh, I love that I'm learning about my country through you, and that's such a life-changing moment. It's almost like it was meant to be, and the surprises that you get along the way when you take chances and when you get out of your comfort zone. I love each of these stories is so special. So at this point, I'm going to actually turn over the reins to my colleague, Julia Whitehouse, who's also works with the Story Studio and was teaching the group that met on Tuesdays and Thursdays mornings. Ladies and gentlemen, Julia Whitehouse.
Thank you very much, Gail. Thank you so much to all of our audience and all of our storytellers so far. This was such a beautiful honor, privilege, just all of the words. I feel very, very lucky every early morning that I was able to sit and listen and to all of these stories from all over the world and be just a small part of not the beginning, like the continuation of the storytelling journey for all of these participants that came and so boldly and unabashedly shared their stories with me. It's not something that I take for granted at all. We did some really fun exercises where we dug through their minds to bring up as many stories as possible. So what you're seeing here today is just like like just the tip of the iceberg in regards to like what they worked on and the possibilities and all of the stories that they have inside them. So like lots of like prompts and just like working from like strongly held opinions, and then working backwards, like, why do you feel that way? Oh, why does that make you feel that way? Do. Like, we had so much fun just discovering together. And so, like I said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more inside. And also, unfortunately, due to unforeseen events, our next storyteller, Marty from Mali, who was part of the YES program from 2017 to 2018, he will not be able to join us. However, we will move right through, and we will introduce our next storyteller, Aita, and to kick off our second half of the show. Aita is from Senegal, and she did the YES program back in 2011 to 2012. So please, round of applause for Aita. Yay!
It's August 2011. I am walking in the hallway of this big school. There are closets all over. The school is quiet. It's 2 days before school starts. I'm walking next to this beautiful Black woman that looks just like me. So I was registering for my senior year. So once we entered the office, everyone was like, "Hi, Karma, hi, Karma." I was like, wow, my mom is famous. So I registered for all the mandatory classes, and when it came to the optional classes, she turns to me and she was like, "Aida, I think you should choose singing classes." I was like, "Oh, Mom, I have never sang in my whole life. I don't have any prior experience in singing and everything." She was like, "Just give it a try, because all my exchange students used to take it and they loved it." I was like, "All right, let's give it a try." So I chose singing classes, and we went to the third floor. So there was the music depth. So there was this guy, this short white guy, in front of his piano. He was like, "Come on up, young lady." I was like, "Okay, so you repeat after me." I was like, "Okay." So he went, "Ah." I was like, "Ah," in such a terrible voice. He went, "Ah." I was like, "Ah." My voice was just like, it can't go. So my husband was standing there waiting for me. So I can say he accepted me in singing classes thanks to my host mom, because they have known each other. So after 3 months of rehearsing and going home singing "Carol, your band, ready, your man," rehearsing every day after school, trying to be one of the singers, even though my voice is still terrible. So it was time for winter concert. We were dressed in yellow and black gowns, and in this big auditorium. It was my first show ever. So once we started the show, I was there, but actually I really wasn't there, because everyone was singing. I was singing with my head down and everything. After the show, my mom was like, "Aida, why was you like that?" I was like, "Mom, I'm scared. This was my first time, so I didn't really have confidence in me." And she was like, "Is this what you want to show to your grandkids?" I was like, "No." And then after 2 months, we had this play, The Sound of Music. I was one of the nuns, once again, singing in the back in the women's chorus. So I was singing, and when Maria started singing, "I have confidence in me, I have confidence in sunshine," I just had my head up. I felt that confidence deep inside of me. I was like, yes, this is the confidence I needed. This is my time. So after the play came the time for the last show, the spring concert show. It was time to go home. I was getting ready and everything. So this time we were dressed in those blue dresses, having makeup on and everything. We're on the cafeteria. My husband came with her friends, with all the other exchange students. They came to support. She brought me some chicken wings. I ate them, and we took photos and everything. And when it came time for the show, I was on the left end in the first row. This time it was my show. Once they started, I started singing, dancing, owning the show, and then just doing my performance on the top. I was singing, dancing, and then at the end, there was this gather together. So we gathered together and then we sang that Letting Go song. They gave us flowers to hand to our host mom. I was walking down the stairs singing, letting go when the time comes, I know I must say goodbye to you. You know, once I get to my host mom, I had tears rolling my cheeks and everything. And then I gave her the flowers. She hugged me. She was like, oh, so I just could feel how proud she was. And I could feel how proud I was of myself because of that confidence, even though the singing wasn't on the top, but I was still confident to do what I wanted to do. After I gave her the flowers and then I walked back to the stage, letting go when the time comes, I know I must say goodbye to you. Until then, this is when I have to find my way. And I can say that I have found my way, and that has really helped me. And I just want to take this time also to thank my host mom for being there and being the support every day and all the time. Thank you.
A round of applause. Aita, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I love, if you're going to talk about singing, you got to sing. And Aita, I think, there's some people in the chat that don't understand why you say that your voice is not good, because you have a great voice. Like, seriously, thank you so much for sharing your voice, sharing your story. I love some singing. We've got lots of singing stories in cohort A. Love it so much. Thank you so much for sharing. We will move along to our next storyteller from Libya, and he did his YES program during the 2019-2020 years. Please welcome to your screens, it's Lukman.
Thank you. Is my voice laggy or anything? Is it good?
You're good.
All right. So there I was, right in the middle of my room. My very, very messy room. My clothes were all over the place, but they're not to blame, because my thoughts were all over the place as well, as it was my day to fly to the United States. As a 16-year-old teenager from Libya who was about to go on an exchange year to the United States all by himself, I had very, very, very high expectations. I had very high expectations on how everybody will be rushing towards me to be friends. I had very high expectations on how everything will go super smooth and I'll just never feel homesick or anything. A few days later, there I am, right in the middle of America, in the state of Indiana. You know, got your Midwestern accent, big trucks, of course, a lot of cornfields and soybeans. So I lived in this beautiful farmhouse with my host family, made up of Damien, my host dad, Tasio, my host brother, who was an exchange student as well, and finally, Roxy the dog. I really loved my host family because it was very interesting to live, just the fact that I was living with different people in a new house. But what was special about my host family is that every day is just different. One day we'll be like messing with wood, doing like some woodwork. And the next day we may be incubating eggs. You just never know. I really loved it. It was great. It was awesome. It was very, very nice. But at times I would just wonder what was my parents doing back home. Like, what kind of TV shows they're watching nowadays? A few more weeks passed by, and there I am, 16-year-old teenager, experiencing an American high school and what everything is all about. It was awesome. People were very friendly, like at times even a little bit too friendly. I love people, I love making friends, but at times just like it just gets too much, you know? I'll be walking down those very spacious marble hallways in that high school, and people would just be rushing towards me. They're like, "Oh God, are you a new exchange student? This is great!" And they would just keep on asking questions. They would just not stop talking. I loved it, but still, like they would go, "Oh, don't you miss your family?" Of course, I miss my family. Come on, but they would also continue like, "Okay, do you like America?" I would smile and answer their questions and laugh and chit chat and stuff. But deep inside my head, I'm like, okay, all right, this is too much. This is a lot for me to comprehend. I just wonder what my family's doing back home. So one day, my host family decides on going to this restaurant, and they asked me to come with, and I agreed. I know, boy, this restaurant had the largest dining room I've ever seen, with the most festive decorations and the brightest colors. It was very scary. Whenever I looked right or left, folks were just sitting around, laughing super loud. It was annoying at the time. I don't know why, like, their laughs were super obnoxious to me. Like, what was going on with me? Like, why can I not stand those laughs? Like, what is going on with me? What is so funny, guys? And that's when it hit me. Is this what it feels being homesick? Is this what it's all about? Like, where's my family? What are they doing back home? And right in the middle of my inner fight I'm having with myself, my host brother, Tasio from Spain, very funny man, he pinches my left hand and he goes, "Hey, Lukman, don't worry, man. I kind of feel you. Just tell me what's going on. I can relate to an exchange student as well." And right in the middle of that, he stops and he says something to my host, Damien, that sounded like, at the time I didn't know what was going on, but Damien just stops and he says, "All right, boys, I think I know what we're gonna do. Let's get out of here and let us have fun." Tasio then goes, "Okay, that is great, Damien. That's awesome. Yeah, let's get out of here and have fun. Come on, Lukman, let's go in the car." So I get in the car and Damien says his all-time favorite line of the year: "Road trip, boys." So yeah, there it is, a family of four: Libyan Lukman, Spanish Tasio, American Damien, and Roxy the dog. So that night we went to a hockey game. Next day we went to a park. And day over the other, it was awesome. I loved it. It was very great. Every day we'd do something good. I loved it. There was a feeling. It was this weird feeling that I felt. So I just sit down and relax and say, "Okay, Lukman, you know what? I know exactly who these people are. These people are your new family." So yeah, come on, Bakir was with you. Thank you so much.
Round of applause. Lukman, thank you so much. Everything solved with a road trip. That's seriously like feeling homesick, so relatable. Like this is also like what we find when we tell our stories, like how we've all had that feeling before of missing home. Wherever you're from, you can miss home. It's a beautiful, relatable story. Thank you so much, Lukman. And now to close out our show, please welcome your last storyteller from Qatar. She did the YES program from 2014 to 2015. Please welcome to your screens, it's Angela.
It was the month of May, 2015. I feel depressed. My exchange year is almost over, but I miss home. I feel homesick. Home where my younger siblings can annoy me for no reason, or home where my mom cooks her sweet style chicken adobo. If you do happen to have any Filipino friends, ask them about that dish. It's amazing. Or maybe I'll cross the street and have the best shawarma ever. But I can't, can I? A few months after I started my program, I found out that my parents are going through an annulment. And knowing that I will not have those moments again that we had before eats me alive. I wanted to go home. I wanted to cut my exchange program short. I wanted to leave. But my mom said, no, you have to keep going for the both of us. So I did. I said yes to everything. Skiing, never done that. Let's go. Jump on a 7-foot snow, will probably hurt our backs. Let's do it. I volunteered for blood drives at a nursing home during Christmas break as well. And I joined a local church choir singing every Sunday. But I still get my moments. And that day was one of those days. I decided to leave my room and I saw my host mom, the sweetest host mom ever, Mama Sue. We grew so close to each other that until now, I still call her Mama Sue. She greeted me and asked, how are you feeling today, Angela? I told her, I don't know, I still feel a bit under the weather. She told me, why don't you check your mail? So I did. And I squealed. I got selected. I totally forgot applying for this. A month ago, my exchange organization, PAX, sent out invitations to students to submit their volunteer activities for a chance to go to New York City for an enhancement trip. Me and my friend Alumni, another exchange student from Kazakhstan, got selected. We flew together, and I remembered flying, and we were waiting at the arrival area, and a limousine pulled up in front of us. I turned to Alumni and said, we should probably move over there because a VIP person is going to arrive. And then a lady with a big smile on her face came down at the limo and greeted us. Hi, girls. I turned to Alumni again and I told her, is she talking to us? Is this for real? That can't be. She greeted us again and said, hi, Angela. Hi, Alumni. I'll be escorting you to your hotel. And I was shocked. 17 years old, me in New York City, on a limo. Wow, that's a dream. I remember seeing a lot of yellow cabs everywhere as we were driving through the Brooklyn Bridge. And I told myself, I have to get a photo. It's a New York City thing, I have to get a photo. I took tons of photos. Our fax coordinator toured us around. I remember we passed by Statue of Liberty when we were in the ferry for Staten Island. We visited the 9/11 Museum. We went to Columbia University. I took a photo that makes me look like I was studying there. Well, at least I could pretend, right? At least for a photo. And then we ended the trip at Times Square. Oh, of course, let's not forget the Bethesda Fountain in Central Park. It was very Gossip Girl, if you know what I mean. I went home and I told Mama Sue, 3 days and 2 nights is definitely not enough. No one knew what I was going through. No one knew how that trip helped me mentally. As someone who was born in the Philippines and then grew up in the Middle East, I'm what they call a third culture kid. I'm neither here nor there. So growing up, I've always had a question in mind. Where is home? Where is home for Angela? My exchange here taught me a lot, and it helped me realize that home doesn't have to be a specific place, doesn't have to be a specific country. Home is where you feel secure, where you feel appreciated, where you feel loved. And for that reason, I consider my entire exchange year an experience of home away from home. Thank you so much.
Angela, you got me during class and you got me again. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. A round of applause for Angela. Seriously, clearly an enormously touching and relatable story. I am so thankful to all our storytellers who told their whole stories today as part of the live show. Now we have a treat. As Gail said at the top, we are now going to have the rest of our participants give you a taste of what their stories are just by sharing their first line. So you know that there is so much more to explore in what we worked on. Who we have, Carol is our first.
All right, I'm ready. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Carol Pio. I am from Indonesia and I was hosted in Orlando, Florida from the year of 2018 until 2019. And here is my first line of my story. So it was in November when my host family, Jason and Jana, told me that we were going to North Carolina to celebrate our Thanksgiving with my host mom's extended family. Thank you.
Next, we have Mulcair.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mulkhair Mintali. I'm a 2017-2018 years alumni from Mali, and I was hosted in South Carolina. So my first line is, I'm not really great at public speaking, so I usually tend to stay in my comfort zone. Thank you.
Brilliant. Next, we have Jia Yan.
Hi everyone, I'm Jayan from Malaysia, and I was hosted in Rochester, Minnesota, and I went on the program in the year of 2018. And the first line of my story is, I grew up in a small community. Growing up, besides my family, people I know are people from school. So thank you.
Jaya, thank you so much. Farah?
Hello, everyone. My name is Farah from Jordan. I was a student during the years 2008-2009. It's about 1 a.m. Me, my sisters, and my parents are in the car, and we are almost there. Thank you.
Oh, next, we have Hamisa.
All right, hold on. Hi, my name is Hamiza. I am from Malaysia, and I went to the YES program in 2018, and here is my first line. The sun was shining, the wind was breezing. From far away, there stands a tall and handsome American guy in front of me. Thank you.
Next, we have Hiba. Thank you.
Hiba actually isn't here, but
she's not here. I apologize.
Her first line, so I'll put it into the chat box.
Oh, okay, brilliant. Thank you so much, Emma, for that technical support. Please welcome Christy. Do we have Christy? I believe she was here. We'll just wait one more second for Christy. Oh, maybe Christy.
I see her. Can we get her?
Yeah.
Christy might be having some internet issues. So Christy, if you
it's okay.
If you can hear us and you want to share your first line in the chat, that would be awesome.
Brilliant. All right, well, you guys, there it is. And yes, oh, and I'll read Hiba's. It was August 23rd, an endless aisle, a dozen or so CCTV, a soldier holding a rifle and a blue metallic door, all that stood in our way to what would be the first of many great experiences on our lives. We were anxious, restless, and excited at the same time. We entered Ere's border and hoped for the best. You guys, there's so many more stories to hear. This is such a thrill to be able to share this with everybody, such a thrill to have been able to share so much. I hope everybody watching has been inspired to possibly take a storytelling class, dig into their own minds, seek out more stories from the people that shared today or people in your lives. But now let's take a moment and answer.
I think there's one more first line.
One more first line?
From Eamonn from Pakistan?
Aaron, he has not made it. Thank you so much, Gal. That's quite all right. And here, Christy from Nigeria. She was hosted in Westmont, Illinois from 2014 to 2015. And I've always been a do everything you can kind of person, but my greatest limitation was I didn't like asking for help. You guys, that's my life. Super thankful for all of our storytellers and all of our sharers today. Now is the time for our audience to be able to ask them questions, ask questions of us, the facilitators, of iEarn, if you have any questions there, but mainly please ask our storytellers if you have any questions for them. You can put it in the chat and I will ask them. And
Yeah, while we wait for the questions to come in, Julia, maybe we can ask the participants
Yes.
some of the questions we thought about.
That is a very good idea, a good use of our time. Would anybody like to share 5 words that would describe their experience doing the workshop? 5 words, the workshop in 5 words for you. And just put your hand up and I will call on you, or perhaps I will just call, oh, there we are. Lukman.
All right, here's a couple. Inspiring, new, emotional, and yeah, that's about it.
All right, thank you so much. Emotional, that's the thing. It has, it can be kind of hard sometimes, right? Throughout the workshop, like you butt up against like subject matter that like maybe you haven't thought about before, or that you're like maybe a little uncomfortable facing. But something I like to say, like, go into the fire. The stuff that is like maybe a little difficult to share, or that you're not, you know, that you think nobody might want to hear, that's probably what your story is really about. Like that's the good stuff, and what an audience, you know, thrills in knowing. So anybody else like to share? Just put your hand up. And Hamiza.
I would say the workshop is amazing, inspiring, knowledgeable, growth, and the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, so much growth, right? Like it's not therapy, but it is therapeutic. That's what we always say about storytelling, that it truly is like spending time with yourself in a way that is, it feels a little like when you first start, this is like, oh, who wants to hear this? Oh, this feels a little selfish, but it's actually, the more you share, the more you're actually listening and taking in other people's worlds. Was there somebody else? I saw Shifa, you want to share?
I feel like this workshop is heart-touching, exciting, and curious, and motivating, and the amazing trip of this year, beginning of this year for me personally.
Awesome. That's great. That's seriously the motivation that we get from working on ourselves. Like I said, like it inspires us to get out and seek other stories. None of us do this alone also. Like that's the big lesson for me. Every time that I teach a class or tell stories or work on my own stories, it's like, oh, this is not a solitary practice. Like we need each other in this life. Martia, what would you like to share?
For me, it would be memorable, life-changing, roller coaster ride, pure bliss.
Brilliant. I love a roller coaster. The roller coaster of emotions that we all like, you know, we just get on it, get on that ride. And that's seriously, I feel, again, I can't say how privileged I feel, or I can say, I'm saying it right now. How about, what was the most challenging or the most rewarding part? Something specific. This is also something that we worked on. It's one thing to say like, oh, it was this, it was that in a story, like, but when you can say like a specific or use a metaphor to describe an experience, the more universal the truth becomes. Mulker, I thought I saw your hand.
Yeah, I think the most challenging part was to choose the story. That was the most challenging part, and the most rewarding was to finally see your last project. I guess that was rewarding for me.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing. We have a question. Oh, Emma, from our I Earn team. Can you describe how you selected the experience that you ultimately chose to make into a story? And someone who didn't get to share their full story, Farah, would you like to share?
Sure. Well, to be honest, because this specific thing I told my story about, this story is like what makes my exchange year very different from everyone else. I mean, my year was 2008, 2009, and I've never heard anyone go through the same experience I did. So that was the reason I chose this story.
Nice, brilliant. Anybody else would like to share how they deduced what story they wanted to? Christy? I feel like I see your face now, so I feel like would you like to share how you selected the story that you were going to share? Unmute if you could. Oh, unfortunately, I'm so sorry, Christy. We're still having a little issue with hearing you. Please put it in the chat. I definitely want to know. And Jaya, how did you decide?
Yes, I can go. Like Julia, you were my instructor. So as you know, I started with a lot of different ideas in my first draft. And what I did was I keep sharing my stories to my partner, Carol, who happened to be in a group activity. She was my partner in a group activity. And I shared my different ideas with her. And she actually told me that which are the points that were very interesting to her. So that was also how I chose my story, by telling it many times to different people, and they feedback to me which are the interesting ones that they want to listen more. That's how I chose my story in this workshop. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Again, like reiterating the idea that like we none of this do this alone, like it feels very much when you're working on something, it's like, oh, I got to get it right. But it's actually like when you share it that you realize like, oh, this is what people are responding to. This is where I'm having fun sharing. That's usually also a clue. If you're nervous, or if you are excited telling something, those are the stories that you want to share. Those are the things, because then it means that you care. And if you care about something, which I could tell all of you guys were, have so much energy and caring about what you were sharing today, then it's infectious as an audience. Even via Zoom, we can feel it. We can feel it through the screen. So yeah, Christy says, I picked my story because it was one of the first times in my exchange year where I faced my fears. Yeah. It's seriously so incredible. I wonder how many people that live in a hometown forever, like that's one of the stories just made me think, like really truly, like being able to leave your home and try that one thing new, but then you challenge yourself to face a whole bunch of other new things. Like you're set up for life. Angela, would you like to share how you decided on your story?
At first, if you notice, I did not want to go deep with my story. Yes. But then I decided to go through it because it talks about mental health, especially at this point in time that we're experiencing. I wanted to shine light on this topic, that it's okay. Everyone feels this. It's okay to talk about it and open up to these things. So
Yeah, that's very true. Especially like when we speak to things, we often say that when you start storytelling, you start because you think that you're the only person that this has ever happened to. It's like, oh my gosh, let me share this crazy thing that has never happened to anybody. And then you continue telling stories because you realize, oh, I got to tell this because this happens to everybody. I need to speak to this because everybody will understand. My story was one of the most memorable things I have from my exchange years. Yes, thank you, Carol. Thank you very much also for sharing. So do we have any, did I miss any questions? For Jaya's story went through so many wonderful iterations. That's true. One new mentions. Oh, great. Gail, a question from Gail. How do you plan on using all the tools and tricks and tips that we shared with you? How do you plan on using that in the future? Anybody would like to answer it right off the bat? Yes, Aita.
So for me, I want to use my story to use storytelling to inspire other women, because I am working as a web developer, and in my country there are not a lot of women in the tech industry. So what I want is use my story to inspire other women to get into tech. So
brilliant. Brilliant. That's great. And Hamiza in the comments has said that she wants to use it for TikTok content. Brilliant. Also, it's, we got to use what we have at our fingertips, at our literal fingertips. Carol, how are you going to use your skills in the future?
Well, I'm thinking about using the skills that I got from the workshop to, just like Aita, to inspire, especially people that have not experienced the education abroad, because it really brings such different perspective to see life. And of course, I know that if you want to try something new, then there will be a lot of stories to tell again. So it's like paying it forward. So yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing. Am I seeing Lukman? Shifa, you wanted to share, and Lukman. So Shifa, oh no, where did Shifa go? Oh, yes.
So I want to actually use the skills in my projects, which I do. So I do different types of project, and it's hard to explain to people what I want. So like as Gail, Miss Gail, like in the last class, she taught me about business stories. So I want to use that as well as these to explain them that why I'm doing the project and why it's so important. And yes, I want to use it in daily life as much as possible, because I want to keep learning and keep practicing these skills. And yes, that's from my side.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, like you said, you can use it in business, you can use it in your personal life, first dates, first interviews. And so Hamiza said that she chose her story because it was the first time she experienced an American romance, which is, that's also valid. That's part of life. Lukman, how are you going to use your skills in the future?
I would say an everyday life, like just social life. Because you guys gave us a lot of tools, not to just make 5-minute stories or 10-minute stories. It was even to 30-second stories. So yeah, that.
Awesome. That's brilliant. Yeah, it's something you can carry on through your own life experience. And I mean, I use storytelling to all the tips and tricks on how to keep stories like focused and short every day when I'm talking to my 4-year-old, because the attention span of children, that's a real test of whether or not a story is hitting or relevant to someone's life. So do we have any more questions from our audience? We're about at 10 of 15. I want I want to have and Christy says she wants to have a storytelling brand on social media for my stories and that of others. Brilliant. Yeah, we are. It's all about that branding nowadays, guys. And the way to get there, like a brand is like, you really got to know who you are. And in order to know who you are, you've got to be unafraid to dig into all of the parts of yourselves. And that's also, so I'm sure Gail talked about this in your class, but I know we talked about it in mine, is that you are so many stories. You have so many stories, and this is just one of many. And one story does not define your whole self. That's also something when you're first starting out, you think to yourself like, oh gosh, like, ugh, this story represents me as this, but I'm not only that. Like, not to worry. You tell another story, show another part of yourself. My journal is getting interesting and fun when I write a whole day of stories in it. Yes, that's exactly. It improves our writing. It improves our interactions with other humans. Like, it all informs itself. Now, Emma, Micah, shall we wrap up the question and answer portion, or
Yeah, well, thank you all for sharing your answers to those questions. I feel really inspired after today, after hearing your stories and after hearing, how you're going to use these skills in the future. I mean, storytelling will, bring us all really far. And I feel like I have learned a lot from this workshop as well. So thank you all for participating and for bringing your knowledge and wisdom. And thank you so much to Gail and Julia for leading us through this workshop, through hosting this wonderful show today. You have really inspired all of us, and really your knowledge has just been amazing to be in the presence of. So thank you so much. So we have come at the end of our show today. So I want to thank the audience for coming. Thank you so much for participating with us in this, and for hearing the stories that these participants have been working so hard on for the past 3 weeks. It's incredible to see these stories go from the beginning to the end. It's really a journey. So thank you all for coming. I'm going to ask the participants to please stay on the Zoom call. We have a couple more things to wrap up together, but everyone else, thank you so much. And have a great day. Thank you. And please, if you are an alum of the workshop, please stay on.